band, go for start then. Cup of rubber band, go for start then. Up in the street, we are drop dead. J.O.P. We are gonna party tonight, you just watch. Tonight, me feel I spend some cash.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All righty, so we are back with you for our Talk to Us open forum. But just before we get into that, normally as listeners would know that around this time on a Tuesday, we would bring to you District Stairs. However, Malon, the owner of District Stairs, he lost an iPhone 15 Pro Max. If found, please contact 496-7649 or 456-7649. A reward of $500 will be given for its return. The phone is locked and traceable, so it's of no use to anyone else. And so he just needed for that information to go out. All right. So
he stated anywhere he lost the phone?
No, he didn't state it in the post. And I didn't ask. So if anybody has seen or come into contact with iPhone 15 Pro Max, you are
It's a very expensive phone.
For a reward of $500 being offered. I'm sure it is. All right. So, yes. All right. So just something to note there.
All right. Let's take a call. Let's see if this person from the phone. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning.
I just want to turn back a little bit to the topic which was being discussed earlier, which was dealing with the crime.
Yes, you can go ahead.
The reporter you had on. I can't remember his name.
Live.
But he seemed to be well informed. I could realize that from the discussion that he was having, allocating gangs, the gangs which are causing the problems now, I think he can work in co with the police. Because if that amount of knowledge is out there, how come the police doesn't have all this information? And is it a strategy? Well, I've heard this from where I am here in the UK, that sometime last year or thereabout, when it was escalating, that the policy of the police was to let them kill one another, let the gangs one gang kill out another gang. I heard that from here. Okay. I don't know how true that was.
I don't want to believe that would be true. All right, so
well, I would refrain from believing that is true as well. But something needs to be done, and I think the government now needs to be a bit proactive in terms of how we're going to tackle this problem, not just from the law enforcement side, but from a strategic point of view, i.e., we need to get the messaging in the schools, because a lot of these fested from, and I realize that from social media now, you have a lot of ill discipline in the schools, the secondary schools, girls fighting, and there are reports from what I've seen on some news media that there are reports of gangs operating in the schools. Now, how are we going to do that? I would like to put a suggestion out there, as I'm from the music background. We have a lot of influential artists who can contribute to some format of messaging. I.e., on the radio stations, a public information message. A lot of the artists that are quite popular, a lot of them are ambassadors as well. This could be part and parcel of the ambassadorial duty. We need to get all hands on deck. This is a serious problem because we have an industry that we're trying to build, tourism industry. And if we're not careful, this can seriously affect that going forward. We need to get everybody, they need to have a meeting with the radio stations, they need to have a meeting with the influential artists, especially now that we're getting ready for Carnival. These killings are being done in high daylight. What's going to happen if somebody wants to target somebody who is coming into town for Carnival? We don't need that. We have to act proactively. We need to do something now. Not tomorrow. Not yesterday. Now. I'll put down and listen to the rest of the discussion.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your contribution.
I totally agree with Wizzy there.
Yes. And so just a few things to add in terms of what he said, in terms of getting the messaging out and going into schools. Now, the police actually do go into the schools. They do go into the schools and they do talk to students, especially some of those more problematic schools. They go in. There's also the police youth club where they are trying to have that direct bridge or direct communication with young people. I suppose coming out of the conversation there with him as well, I do have to ask what is happening regarding the National Commission on Crime Prevention, right? That body was set up to help to find ways to mitigate or to put messages out there with regards to crime. And just doing a very quick social media look at their Facebook page. The last time that anything was posted was last year, February 4th, 2025. So I suppose I do have to ask, how active is this commission at this time? And with some of the suggestions that were made by the caller, what are they actually going to do in terms of getting that message out there, in terms of the Commission on Crime Prevention?
I'm wondering if schools should start to teach the kids discipline, respect, and manners.
The schools? What, mean the homes?
The schools too.
Starting in the homes, you mean?
Starting in the homes.
All right, thank you.
The schools.
because you have to remember too that teachers are really supposed to be there to teach, right? If you are going to have to be spending significant periods of time trying to instill in children the things that should be instilled at home. That's taken away from their learning time, you know? So, but yes, I get what you're saying, because it needs to go hand in hand, right? And what students don't get at home, they're probably going to end up getting it at school, right? But it really should start in the home. And it's interesting because yesterday I was having a conversation, yesterday being the first day back to school, for teachers, well, teachers and students, right? And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a teacher, and she's saying she can't wait to get out. Mind you, she teaching primary school.
Wait to get out of
teaching.
Of teaching.
Mind you, she teaching primary school children, but she's saying is that the level of the disrespect, the level of the ill discipline that she has to deal with, it's as if it doesn't even make sense to be in the profession for her, because it's overwhelming. She says that she already has a child that she has to discipline when that child is at home, and
much less to discipline,
much less to have to go into a school,
yeah.
a whole classroom, of them. So it has to be a hand-in-hand approach. I know that the Deputy Prime Minister spoke about the root cause of many of these activities. An article posted last week that the root cause begins in the family, but while it is, I agree to that, I think it is a hand-in-hand approach. And as my friend was saying, what is also happening is that people no longer have that village. It was a village that helped to raise your child, right? So if I see your child doing something wrong, you might be doing your part, but if I see it, I could have been able to pull up your child. But not everybody wants their child to be pulled up.
That's true.
So we see a whole deterioration of the breakdown in society, because
there's a lot of parents that tell you nobody can lash their child.
Well, I might agree with the
they
not
don't want
lashing.
anybody to discipline the child either.
Well, verbal discipline, I don't have a problem with. I'm not really so keen on other people lashing people's children, but I do believe that adults should have the opportunity to correct somebody else's child, right? To verbally correct somebody else's child. So, yes. All right. So the phone lines are open. The number to call is 457-9997. That is both a direct number as well as the WhatsApp number. All right. So we are talking about anything, whether it was discussed earlier this morning or something brand new that you want to raise for attention, you can go right ahead and call us. All right. And we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Just add that extra piece because I always keep forgetting. All right. So yes. I think somebody was trying to call before.
Yeah, but
okay. All right. How you feeling about Vinci Master?
Vinci Mas, I can't even say anything as yet. I have to wait for a while and see what's going on.
You don't think the music so far is helping?
The music, yeah, we have some
create.
good music out so far.
Okay.
So there's a call coming. Let's take a call. Hello, good morning.
All right.
Hello.
Dave Roberts, morning. Go ahead.
Yes, always good listening to you and talking about money. I'm wondering if you were to, there's a question, is it possible from your standpoint with what you're doing to become a millionaire? Okay.
If I were not to today, oh, you mean through my business?
Yeah.
It is possible, but maybe not locally. If I outsource to something and have production done elsewhere, but I have been insistent that I'm not going to outsource, so I will struggle along.
I answer that question because you seem to be a money person. You seem to believe.
Dave, how do you get? I've heard you say this before, and I've never understood. So let me take the time now to ask you, what do you mean by that, and what gave you that impression?
Well,
when you say money person, sound like I could be a gas brain to us. I ain't too sure what you mean.
I'm not making this more sophisticated thing, right? Where people have the different ambitions in life, right? Especially those who are thinking positive and thinking for higher means of living in the country. For instance, I realize when things start to go down, when certain people come, I've been around for a while to see how some people have suffered after being, able to do certain things, and some of them done dead and gone. So in life, you have to have something. Once you're within that age group, you still have your active years and so on. You must be able to make money, right? It's just basically that's what I'm asking for, survival in terms of you surviving.
So you mean if I'm ambitious?
No, I would. Why would I think you're not ambitious?
No, so this is what I'm trying to understand. What you mean when you say I'm a money person? Like I don't understand what you mean.
Okay,
he said we mean that you're always talking about money.
But in what way? Is Maka who bring up the millionaire thing this morning? No.
All right. Okay, but it's nothing to run away from. Nothing is wrong with you because once you're making your money in a decent or honest way, nothing is wrong with that. So I just thought, to me, listening to you, you seem to have a very ambitious plan of becoming, that kind of, I don't know how wealthy, but that kind of person who can, earn.
Okay, so all right, so let me stop you there, and we're going to only have this conversation this one time. My aim in life is not to become rich. My aim in life is not to have to suffer. So if I can live comfortably based on whatever it is that I can earn, then that is fine. But my aim is not to become rich.
But nothing wrong with becoming rich.
True, but true. There's nothing wrong with becoming rich, but that is not my aim. As long as I can pay all my bills at the end of the month, I good, and I could eat. Right, and I could eat properly.
As Dave mentioned, there's nothing wrong with becoming rich.
Either through a good husband or through your own development.
Through my own development. Yes, let's leave it at that. Part through my own development.
Well, this one must get that clear, but there's nothing wrong in in Roleza at one time she was a pauper and she's able to rise. Now he was a pauper, in the pauper role, because I know you have people who can help you along, and I hope they're listening to me. I know you have to,
Call them.
I didn't want to call them.
I'm joking. Don't call no names. I'm joking. All right.
All right, Dave.
It's just I just take that deep interest in you because if I were to come up, if somebody were to come to you, for instance, somebody well, I know there are a lot of questions to be answered, but somebody were to come up to you and say, "Really, I'm giving you this $500, or maybe I can make it $1,000." And said to you, I want to help you to succeed in what you're doing. Won't you accept it?
It depends on who it is, Dave. I'm not going to just accept money from just any and everybody.
I don't expect that. I was just about to say, well, I know you'll have to know the person. And
I also have to know the intentions behind giving me the money.
So
if I want to give that money,
let me tell you the story. If I want to give you that, let's say I want to give you that money.
No, Dave, I would not accept it. Sorry, but I won't accept it. All right?
All right, Dave.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
You're rough, man, sometimes. And I tell you, it's so many things with Eddie.
All right. There was something someone mentioned to me yesterday about the launching of Vincy Mas. There was no component of Calypso.
No.
Why?
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at it. Yeah, it was actually something I thought was going to happen, but there wasn't any. I'm wondering if persons may not have been as receptive of it, right? Mm-hmm. Depending on the calypso, there are some calypsos, unless it's who I thought they could have brought. You could probably take the call. Depending on who I thought, the guy who sang too rude. Uh-huh. Somebody like him, because it was a jumpy, kicksy kind of calypso, right?
Mm-hmm. Zion too. Zion has some nice calypso. Some kicksy calypso.
Right. But I'm not sure if they didn't think that it might have blended in well with the activity for the night.
Okay.
So but that's how I see it.
Calypso is a part of Carnival.
It is.
So I don't understand why.
It is, yes. I actually noticed it as well, but I didn't comment. I didn't say anything. All right. So, yeah.
Somebody asked me about it yesterday. So.
Yeah. But you were talking about how you felt about Carnival. You were saying... You feel like there is the build up, the anticipation that is happening?
You see, I mentioned this to someone a couple of days ago about the launch. I'm wondering if the launch was too early.
Why?
Because from Saturday up until when we're gonna have anything regarding to Vincy Mas again?
Well, there will be a series of activities, and I suppose
I
this
think
is
the other
where
activity is the Miss SVG show.
So Miss SVG is the 30th of May. But I suppose this is where things like the rural carnivals would step into play.
The rural carnival, I think, is gonna start in May.
I'm quite sure that I saw something posted in terms of the events until June, July. I'm on the Vincy Mas page, so just bear with me a moment as I look for that. Right. So yes, there's okay. For the question that Maka asked.
Okay, so Vincy Mas launch April 11.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Friday the 24th is gonna be Rum and Rhythm
in Georgetown. Right. And then the only activity that's happening in May on the CDC calendar is Miss SVG. Right. And then there are several activities in June and several activities in July. And of course, you're also going to have the rural carnivals happening as well. So so that is what it is. So the full lineup so far, because I'm sure that they're going to end up adding other events to it. It's there on the Facebook page. Well,
And another thing that the person mentioned to me as well is why they didn't bring back the new song competition.
Oh. All right, y'all know I'm very vocal. When I'm not vocal, it's because I'm holding back something. So I'm gonna leave that.
Could you say I was about to call about that same Calypso? I was about to call to say that Calypso was out. I asked the Calypso president about that, and he's had a problem with it too.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they thought that it might not have blended in well with how they wanted for.
That's the Calypso.
Yeah, with having but
well,
it depends on the style of Calypso.
Is a component of Vincy Mas. That's it.
Yeah, agreed.
Let me just take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
Calypso is a component of Vincy Mas.
Mm-hmm.
But in years, let me go back. Calypsonians were afraid to sing or compose any song with the government. You know that?
Yeah, but then, but did it necessarily need to be a political themed song being sung for the event?
Yeah, but listen, there were blatant interference. When the man H came and sing a song, the past PM used to go and tell him change that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had problem too. So you will get Calypsonians who I don't know what will happen this year because they're anticipating that they're going to sing different.
Who's the all you? So. Listen, when you say all you mean the general public, all right?
No, both you and all. It was on that topic.
With the general public, with the listening audience. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so what happened? People who were slated to be Calypsonian like to sing, that was done. Fired and born with them. So it had to be the new politicians, Lord, the new Calypsonians, so it will remain the same. And then a guy, tell a guy call in and ask you, told you that they're going to sing on 14-1. Mm-hmm. But tell the guy, I heard somebody have a Calypso on him, okay? Because the same guy said he prefers somebody shoot him and they don't find who shoot him than you help you to lose election.
Oh,
have a Calypso on that. Right?
All you easy, you know.
Mr. Marks.
Yeah, they have a
all you ain't easy.
If you fall somebody shoot he and then
when you talk about Don and the Grenadines, oh jeez.
Yes, it's coming from. So that's one hot on the roll. Yes.
All right.
So another thing is Figo, we are living in denial with Carnival. Carnival has, I don't know, Carnival has a fall, a downfall. And it's different, it has evolved. And it evolved along with the young people who now will carry it on. They're telling you what they like, right? But we are trying to keep it by going backward. They're not interested in that. Okay? Carnival at peak already, so what we're getting now, we just have to satisfy. And not live in denial. All areas in Carnival is down. All the areas.
You know what? Another day when we talk about Carnival, I want you to call back and let's have a proper conversation on this, right? Because I hear you. I believe that you are older than me. And I think one of the and I think one of the conversations that we need to have is, do we expect the carnival that you grew up with to be the carnival of the generation today?
No, it will not be. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you how deep Carnival was in us, right? Because I'm older than you. You see, when I'm coming to Carnival, even you get a price ticket to go overseas, you're not going. You're not going to leave your Carnival. But that could happen now. You understand?
You know, oftentimes we hear people say, bring back this, bring back that. From
no,
the
you can't
old...
bring it back, that done gone.
Right. So why not just adapt with what it's evolving to? And if it's not for you, or certain elements are not for you, then say it's not for you. Like I might not necessarily go to a rural carnival wet fete, right? But is it wrong for me to say that the wet fetes are wrong?
No, I'm not saying they're wrong enough. You're not getting me. We are placing the young people thing now.
So is this a good or bad thing? So is it a good or bad thing that it's a young people thing now?
No, but you have to adapt to changes, you know.
Okay.
If you condition your mind. I don't condition my mind. Carnival has changed. Yeah.
But you realize that there are some persons when they make that statement that carnival has changed and it's young people thing, they say it in a negative way.
No, it's not a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. It's the truth. Because as I said before, we are living in denial.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you have the program, I can call in.
All right, no problem.
Whenever. Okay.
All right, have a good one.
You know, oftentimes persons are saying that some of these all-inclusive events are taken away from the CDC events. So that's why some people might say, okay, then let's go back to certain activity that happened before for Vince Ma. Let's take this final call. Hello, good morning.
Minute Man, it's exactly that. Minute Man.
I got a minute? Okay, let me hit it quickly then. Calypsonians has been singing Calypso from God knows when. They always have problem with government because they sing on government. It doesn't matter which government in power, Calypso will have the same issue. In terms of carnival development, carnival always has changes in it. Some people want to accept it, some people don't want to accept it. Carnival will be changing regardless of whether you like it, yes or no. Young or old. The carnival I grew up with, even the design and the costume and all that stuff is not in existence anymore. Man used to build fish and put them on your head and jump up. Now man building a little fish.
It's all about the feather bands. Feather bands, Kojo.
Yeah, things change. Nothing stays the same. Life is a changing process. And if you don't accept the changes in life, then you have a problem. So if you can't carnival alone, life in general is a changing process.
True. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, that's my minute.
That's your minute. All right. Have a good one, Coach. Later.
We're going to talk a bit about World Carnival tomorrow, right?
No, hopefully that is next week. Tomorrow we're trying to get something else, so I would see if it happens. But as we're talking about costumes and so forth, I just want to say this very quickly. Back in the day, I used to see a sailor band. So for the older folks who wanted to participate in Mardi Gras, there was the sailor band, but I can't tell if I've seen it over the last couple of years. For those older folks who might just want to take a little jig. Because older folks don't jump. They want to take a jig around town. I don't know if you still a band and who might be the one to bring that back out. So, yeah, it's just something that I thought of the other day. So, yeah.
I'm wondering how sales are going for some of these mass bands in terms of
some sections don't sell out in but you have to ask is it traditional mass or the other mass? All right. And with that, folks, we are headed on out of this segment. Okay.
Nothing else sounds as good as